Hey guys, welcome back to the land of the Pharaohs. I'm Sajuuk, and today we are going to be heading into Meidum, a tomb of your own. Now, if you're interested in the other missions, said about Kadim, you can go back in the playlist, or I don't know how I'm going to do it, but you can go back in the playlist to have a look at Cerbit Kadim. But in this part, we're going to have a look at Meidum, a tomb of our own.
Pharaoh Huni wishes to spend everlasting eternity in a stepped pyramid like that of Joseph before him. He wishes to be surrounded by the tombs of his nobles, and has chosen Meidum in Lower Egypt as the site for this royal necropolis. As a symbol of thanks for the many generations of faithful service provided by your house, Huni has also consented to allow you to be interred at Meidum in your own tomb. In doing this, he has also conferred great honor upon your family. To ensure that the wisdom and learning of Egypt is preserved through the ages, Pharaoh Huni also urges the construction of royal libraries. Once filled with scrolls of papyrus, these will provide higher education to the upper classes. Pharaoh has sent another of his faithful courtiers on an expedition to Cerbit Kadim, in the harsh land of Sinai, to acquire turquoise gemstones. If this expedition is a success, you may look forward to importing gemstones from there. Jewelers can use these to fashion jewelry, a valuable luxury good for the people of your city. The once thriving city of Vedette has begun to decline and no longer exports many of the commodities they were once known for.
Well, that's not too good to hear. Cities in decline, but I think it will be okay. So we've got a royal necropolis, 3,000 people, 25 prosperity, kingdom rate. That is very low for a peaceful mission. I would have expected 50 or higher, but never mind. Culture rating of 25 and a monument rating of 39. It sounds as if we're going to be building some pretty big monuments, or at least one big monument. We're going to be continuing on hard mode. Let's head to the city and slow time right down and have a look around this very green map. So humans climb it, lots of space. Look, we've got some rock over here. What can we do with it? We can mine plainstone, so we can get all our own plainstone on this map, which is good. A little bit of meadowland here. It doesn't look very fertile though, so we could maybe get a few grain farms here, a little bit up here, but that is so infertile. I mean, there's hardly any dots, so I'm not really going to use it, to be honest. Lots of trees though. And unfortunately, all this floodplain is on the opposite side of the river, which means we do have to cross it. We will need to start up a papyrus industry and a bit of a wood industry, but I think we could do just fine having like a big city right here in the south rather than having it in the north. I mean, my custom normally is to build it in the north, but that's so far from the entrance point, I don't want to do that. Our gods are Osiris, Ptah, and Bast. Who's our patron, actually? Bast, okay. I think we can cross the river, yeah, ferry landing to there. So what I'll probably do is I'll set up my city around this southern area. Have a ferry landing onto this floodplain here. We don't really need too much. Might need a little crossing over here to access some more over here and the papyrus, which we will need to cross to at some point. What's our raw materials? Woodcutters, clay pit and reed gatherers, so we can make wood, pottery and papyrus. That's not too bad. And our only food type is grain, so we're not going to be going too high with our housing this time around. Can't get beer, which means we're going to have to import that from a trade partner. Let's have a look at trade. Abu is a water trade route that buys pottery and papyrus and sells flax. Useless because we don't need flax or linen in our city. Vedette is another water trade route that buys, the only thing they buy is wood. They sell a food type which we don't need. All these things would require basically imports. The Ked's another water trade route that sells beer, buys papyrus. Kind of a useful trade route actually, that one. I could set that up early. Cerbit Kadim, which is apparently already trading, we set that up in the previous mission. Sells gems and copper and buys nothing really of interest. I mean, they're worthless crops, so there's no reason to set those up. Saqqara is 200 and they buy pottery, wood and papyrus, all very useful exports. We can also make bricks because we've got grain farms, so probably going to go with Saqqara first because they are cheap and we can sell a lot. What's the price of wood on this map? 170, so it's actually not as much more expensive than papyrus, but can get it set up pretty quickly. So Yeah, I'm going to set up the city down here. A couple of big blocks. We'll have probably 3 blocks by the end of it. And what about our monuments? Stepped pyramid complex. So the stepped pyramid complexes are big. And just in general, anything that's a pyramid complex or grand pyramid complex, mud brick, step pyramids or whatnot, they need to be connected to the Nile. So we do have to put it somewhere like, say... We could just put it right there, and then it's got a short causeway. Now I could, if I wanted to, put it all the way out here. Might be interesting having a nice long causeway, but it means everyone's going to be going a long way around. So we're not going to do that. We're going to have it nice and close up to the thing, just to shorten the distance they have to go around it. We do start with 10,000, so that's a lot of cash. So yeah, where can I put a dock? I could put a dock there, I could put a dock there. So I'll probably set up some industry around this area here. Okay, so I'm going to go and set up the city, go build out the first housing block, get our wood industry going, and I'll come back in once I've done it. Okay, so we've got the city set up, so I've got 1 block already placed down here with everything needed. We've not spent a lot of money. I've set up some wood industry as well. And what we're going to have is basically like an industrial centre. All the industry, well apart from papyrus rather, is all going to be over here. We're going to set up pretty much wood and pottery industries because we can make about 7,000 demons off of that if I sell out all of it. But for now we're just going to go with wood exports because it's such a cheap route and 2 sales will pay for that very quickly. But for now we're just going to go with that. So yeah, let's just speed up. What I can do is, I mean this is a lot of housing and not a lot of industry. I can't get the words out. Let's just put this here. I'm going to roadblock that there. That's roadblocked, I think. Let me just check. Yes, it is. So this should come out the right way now. I'm going to set this to accept wood. For now, it's going to accept wood. Later, will it be changed to something else? Now, I was thinking about here. I've set this up in such a way that it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, that's not very helpful because if I put a yard right there, it's going to mess up the building. So I'm going to actually drag this down by 1 extra tile. Just to make sure that there's, if in case I put a yard there, I can still have a granny right in the middle and then some buildings along the bottom, which will look a lot better. Just to make sure that infrastructure is number 1. Make sure everything's not collapsing and burning, because we don't want that. Low city sentiment, I forgot to lower taxation, which I should always do, not put it up. I want to make sure taxation is nice and low. Poor city sentiment prevents immigration, no it doesn't. So we spent about 3,000 cash and we should be able to make a nice tidy profit off of selling wood to our trade city of Saqqara, which does need it. So once everyone starts to move in, we'll be able to start supporting our wood industry. I'm actually just going to put down extra housing just here. Get everyone nicely flowing in. We're not going to worry about food, and I've already got this all planned out over here. We're going to have a few work camps here supporting this. We might have extras. And I've pretty much got every farm where I want it. Plenty of food potential down here, but I'm suspecting that this area down here, they won't get off the Nile quick enough before it floods, so I will not try to put too much down this side. I will cross over here and put a few farms down this bit as well. But that's for later, so I'm going to let this run, I'm going to let the people come in, and I'll come back in once we're ready to start selling wood. Okay, so we're starting to develop our wood industry. Unfortunately, this yard, the guy keeps walking down this way, which is not very helpful. So let's just clear off all of that. And now they should be able to walk whichever way they want and they will get back to their target. And I hope one of these guys is going to be... No. And if we have a look here, we've got a lot of unemployment. So I think it's time to set up our clay pit industry. We're not going to feed the people. We don't need to right now. Let's put down 3 clay pits. And over here we're going to do 1, 2, 3... 4, 5, 6. We're going to have 6 clay, 6 potters supported by 3 clay pits. Now we are spending money, but that's okay. Our industry is working, which is what we want to see. I'm actually just going to roadblock there instead. And it means even if they go up this bit, it's fine, because it will sort of make... I want to make an organic layout with this. It should work the way I'm expecting it to. Gods are all reasonably happy. That's good. They should find their way to the things. Now we're starting to stockpile wood, so I think it's time. What's this, 25 wood? Not very much wood. I think what we need to do is just put down, let's just see, where's the best place to put some houses? Where does the physician fit? Well, it's not going to fit anywhere here because there's trees in the way, but that's Okay, we can delete that and put a physician there. And unfortunately we are going to need some feeder houses on this, so if that's a ferry landing there, that could just be 1, 2, 3 houses. That. I don't want to destroy too many of the trees because that's going to mess up things quite nastily, which we don't want. I'm actually just going to move these over here. There is a malaria risk on this one because of the reeds, so we will need to provide everyone with access to apothecaries, otherwise they're going to die from malaria, which is not too good. But what we can do is just... I'm going to have to end up destroying a lot of these trees, I think, so we're going to just put down 2 work camps. And I might be able to just move the roads a little bit and get more work camps in, but I don't want to do that right now. These work camps will at least negate some of our unemployment problems, so that's 25, there's another 100 wood going, so we should be able to get enough wood out of these trees. Unfortunately these hippos can't be sterilised, we don't have... I'm not sure why you can build warship and transport wars, because this is not a mission where we're supposed to get that. So bug, I think. Anyway, we're getting 600 wood here, let us open up the trade route to Saqqara. Very cheap route, which will pay for itself by selling this wood. They'll come in and buy it. And yeah, so we'll just keep on going. I might have to, I mean, unfortunately some of these are going the wrong way, which means they're not reaching the people, which is kind of annoying. But we've got 600 wood, we'll be able to sell that. So yeah, I'll come back in, probably in the middle of next year. Once we produce some pottery, let's just make sure this is, yeah, it's set to accept pottery. So I'll come back in once we're starting to sell and make money. Okay, so we are starting to make some money. We sold off a bit of wood, I think was it... Yeah, 700 wood we sold, which is not too bad. Now since the flood is up, we are going to start putting down some farms and start feeding our people. Perfect inundation. That's good. And we'll set up, I think, what... Let's just set up a small amount of farms, that'll do. Then we can just irrigate them all. Now if I remember correctly, I can get a farm in there. Okay, so if I put the farm there, that's just a marker point for me. Then we can just sort of zigzag this around the back there. And there's still space to get farms there, that's fine. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, I won't get all the farms in, but I can sort of try. And is this irrigated? It's irrigated just because of that, but I will put in a proper irrigation ditch to it, which will be fine. In fact, we could maybe make a cross around there, but it doesn't matter. So we're going to start feeding the people. Straw water. So yeah, our only food source is basically grain. We're not going to import fish, it's a waste. The only reason to import fish is if you wanted manor housing, which we're not going to go for. There's no reason to do that here. This mission's going to take too long. So we've got all this out. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 farms. That'll do. And I've got a storage yard set up here to accept the grain, which is good. So we're still selling wood. Once we make our first pottery, we'll start selling that, which will be good for our people, because we're doing quite well. I have deleted this little road that I had here because I don't need it, because I can put the dock right there. And it still counts. There we go, some money, which is good, which is keeping us in the black. 69 missing employees. I think that's time to put down more housing. Let's just do that. And I've basically got one full block set up. And we're making money, so that's good. So, I'm going to let this run, and I'll come back in once we've got our first harvest in. And unless something happens, I don't think anything happens for a little while, so we should be okay. But I might want to start setting up a bit of a papyrus industry. Maybe we might be asked to send papyrus. I don't want to be caught out for any requests, because we do get requested for things on this one. Why am I saying that? We get requests on every map. Anyway, I'll come back in a bit later once our first harvest of grain is in. Okay, so we're starting to get going with our city. Now I have moved this road back because I realised that if I counted this 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, it would just leave a one tile gap for no real reason on this side. So I have decided to move back, and it also allows me to nicely place a small step pyramid right there. And it'll look really nice having it right there in the middle of our city. But the step pyramid complex, there's no way that's going into the city. I can't put it there. Normally I don't tend to build monuments into the city because I just prefer to keep them on the outskirts, but I think the small stepped pyramids will look really nice right there. Now we are starting to sell out on our wood. We're not getting enough wood as we would like, so we are going to start selling the pottery that we produce. Over here our farm should be about to harvest for the year. Yeah, should harvest very shortly. Whenever that is. I might want to... The wood production is strangled by these hippos. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to put another wood cutter there. And, yeah, let's just have that wood cutter so we can delete that. And move this up one. And then we can have it like this. And I can still have my line of 2 right here. And it'll be fine. Because any housing blocks I put here will be in range of all this stuff, so that's fine. So let's sell some pottery, making some money. Not a lot, but it's better than nothing, to be honest. We should sell whatever we can, really. A little bit of wood, a little bit of pottery, that'll keep us in the black, allows us to expand. Meanwhile, our harvest is in. Quite a bit of food, that's good. So at least this one can get off the floodplain very quickly. So our flood's going to be like perfect anyway, that's good. So once this harvest comes in, I will assess it, whether I can feed the entire block straight away. And if we can't, I'll start to evolve the housing, but I want to get started on maybe a papyrus industry. Maybe we might be asked to send some papyrus over to someone. So I want to make sure we are producing at least every raw resource we can start selling papyrus at least. Okay, so, oh look, that's actually filled up. Yeah, we can sort of basically fulfill that thing I was thinking about. Okay, so I'll let this run, I'll come back in once there's something interesting to show. Okay, so we're starting to feed the people now. We've got some rough cottages starting to develop from the food that we managed to harvest from that season. And put down a couple of shrines because the gods were getting a little upset. Put down a temple to Osiris and just extra shrines to Ptah. Over here I have planned out an area where I'm going to have my papyrus industry. It's going to be all across this bit here with reeds up here. Unfortunately there isn't that much I can do about these, but that's just what we have to live with. So I'm just going to put down grain farm and try to work out how I planned this before, which I can't really remember, which is unfortunate. I think I had that, so let's just roadblock. I mean, they're not going to work because there's no access to it, so it's okay. So we've got plenty of grain, 2,000 with 4,000 stored up for later, so that should feed all of these people here. I also put down a couple of large statues just to improve desirability of the location. We've got, what's this, 500 wood and 300 pottery. That should be quite good for our city. Fortunately, the damn hippos keep getting in the way, which is not very helpful. But it's a boundary that we have to deal with, I'm afraid. And starting to evolve all these houses quite nicely with a little bit of food, which is good. I'm not sure how well these houses, but I don't understand how this firehouse is giving negative desirability because there's a couple of shrines right behind it, but you know what, never mind, let's plaza this road. It'll be fine when I put some statues or shrines behind here, which is okay. So we've got 500 wood, 500 pottery, it's going to be 600, 700 pottery now, so we're going to probably be able to max out on some of these things very soon. People are moving in, that'll take care of our unemployment issue, or our employment issue, sorry. I think we can just put down another work camp at this point, and just, you know, add in more grain farms. So if I put a farm there, it means I don't get this farm, which is unfortunate. Let's just put down that. And I think that should be more than enough for now. Plenty of farms. I mean, I don't really need a farm right there, but it's just all about being efficient, you know. So yeah, I think we can do this. We've got plenty of work camps, which should be more than enough. I think I want to get the first plain stone, the first step pyramid out of the way first. Then I can time lapse the larger one, which will be easier. So made a bit of money selling off the pottery there. What did we sell? 700 pottery, 500 wood, not too bad. So yeah, we just got to keep this going and just hopefully we can keep the city stable before we run out of food from that first harvest. We should have quite a bit of food in stockpile, that's good. Okay, so I'm going to let this run, I'm going to come back in once we started to evolve our housing a bit more, because at this point, I mean, I could put down entertainment, but I don't want to. I want to sort of stabilise our food supply before setting up our papyrus industry, so I'll come back in a bit later. Okay, so we're starting to build the city. We've got all of this nicely stabilized. This house is going to devolve because of a lack of food, but the harvest just came in quite nicely. Quite a nice full harvest. Over here I have set up my papyrus industry, and you can see that I've got all the reed gatherers up here and the papyrus industry down here. It is a bit far for them to go, but it's fine. I should be able to produce enough reeds to overflow this in time. Poor inundation, don't care. Having it up here means they don't have to walk so far and the industry won't be strangled by having it down here. Because when I last played this mission on hard mode, I did as a little test just to see how well it would go. Having the reeds down here was not getting very many reeds because they kept getting killed off by hippos, which wasn't very helpful. In terms of trade, we are maxing out pottery and we're close to maxing out wood. We just don't seem to get enough wood though because the hippos again are causing problems, but it's fine. We've not got into debt once, which is actually very useful. Plaza up, keep everyone nicely evolving. Don't really need to evolve the housing anymore, but we could provide a pavilion and a juggler. Well, where to put the juggler? That's the only problem. Over there is silly because that's just out of the way. Where do I put the conservatory? I mean, I suppose I could put the conservatory right there to put the juggler right next to it. That'll do. That looks nice. So we're pretty much producing all the pottery we need. We don't really need to sell much more pottery at this point. We could just be selling wood rather than pottery, because if you look at the prices, pottery sells for only like 105 and wood sells for 170. So wood is obviously more valuable than pottery, but we might as well sell everything that we can. Making some papyrus, we made 300 units so far, so we are getting producing with our stuff, which is good. And if someone happens to ask for anything, we do have the capacity to do that. Now I'm going to set up a reed yard here just in case someone decides they want reeds, because I fully suspect we will be asked to send something of anything we can produce. Because why put all the reeds here if this is not meant to be tapped? They're forcing you to tap this area. Well, we sold 800 pottery. We could sell a bit more.
I'll be a hero when I bring
He's still leaving the map. This trade is getting inefficient, which is unfortunate. But I think we'll do fine. Plenty of grain in stockpile, got plenty waiting to be mined, which is good. We could start to connect up some of these things, I think. I'm actually just going to delete that well because it's useless. And just do that. That's a lot better than before. And then I'll just roadblock to there. And that. And that. Just force them to go on a pathway. They'll always pass houses, it's fine. We'll get some more extra food farmed here. Just tidy that up a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to let this run, and I'm going to come back in if when a request happens, and before we get storming hippos going mad, deciding to rampage through the city, which is not very useful. Anyway, I'll come back in a bit later once we start to stabilise our city. Oh, look at that. To supplement to state stocks, matchless Pharaoh wants me to send 1,000 planks of wood to Byblos within 6 months. What? They've got tons of wood, they don't need any more. What the heck? That's a random request. Pretty sure that's just the organic random selection at work. And it just happened to select Byblos that time. I was building some extra work camps here, but then realised we don't need this many work camps. All of these are supporting this industry quite nicely. I don't understand why Byblos was selected for wood. They've got plenty of wood. They are the Cedars of Lebanon, but who cares? The game wants to send off wood there, that's fine. So we should be able to stockpile that 1,000 wood very quickly. And we might start going over here. Yeah, you can see they're starting to cut down trees here, which means they're making 2 crossings, which is very inefficient because there's so much time to go over there, but that's fine. Nothing really happened. We have produced quite a bit of papyrus here. Maybe I should start exporting it. What's our industry like? Yeah, we're sort of maxing out on pottery now. I've got this set to over 400, so they'll start buying other things instead. Let's start selling papyrus now. Maybe they'll start Yeah, here they come in.
Our long and
Nothing to
dangerous
check. They just
trek here
spawned at the
will
wrong
be
time.
worth
That's
it.
unfortunate.
The city won't trade.
So they might start buying papyrus, which will be useful. I'm going to get a military going because I do know there are invasions on this map, and quite unfortunately, I will give you a bit of a tip. They all come from all this side of the map, which is very annoying because that's where most of the farms and the industry can be found. But that just happens to be what the game wants, so we're just going to have to go with it. What's our... Bastard's getting a little upset here. Let's give her... what's our... No unemployment problems. No more people can enter the city. Okay. Maybe I should go and plan out some more housing. I think we need to do that. And actually I think we're running out of food. But the harvest is coming in, which is good. We didn't get much over here, which is fine. Okay, so I'll let this run. I'll come back in if anything of interest happens. I might start getting the military set up as well. Okay, so we're starting to evolve our people here. We've got access to pottery here, but they can't evolve unless we provide them beer. Now, as far as I know, we cannot get beer from anyone except a trade partner. Now, I'm thinking about trading with Bidet here. They do buy wood. But other than beer, they're really useless. We can already get our own clay. And pottery, we can already make our own papyrus, and they only buy things that we can get from import. So I'm probably going to open up this trade route with Neckhead because they sell beer, and they also buy papyrus. So let's just actually... we don't have a dock set up for this, do we? I've got a recruiter going. We've got a couple of archers getting trained. I will put down an infantry for later once money allows. We're actually going to put a dock up here once we've brought enough papyrus up here. I don't want these guys going all over the city trying to do stuff because that's not very useful. Actually, if we have this road connected here, we don't even need this road connection right here, so let's just disconnect that. I know that looks very unrealistic having that random gap there, but if we have all the farms going off this road, we don't need a road connection here, which means these guys are only going to be getting papyrus, and then we can have a dock down here selling us beer. So let's just, where to put the beer? Actually, we could just put a yard right there for beer. And we've also planned out this area for the small pyramid right there. It's going to look perfect when it's built into the city like that. I'll just put down a few extra farms. I'm not sure if they all got off the floodplain, but it's okay. So yeah, we're just starting to build up the city, starting to get towards some of these goals, which are very basic. We don't really need to worry too much. I'm going to delete that police station because we're going to replace it with a courthouse right there, which provides constable access for crime as well, which is strange, which is okay. So we're going to put down a dentist there, and we'll start providing access to that. So yeah, let's open up the trade route to Niken by putting a dock down there. Open up this very expensive route. We're already selling papyrus here to Sajuuk, but they seem to like buying pottery rather than anything else, which is not very useful. Now, if I don't have to open up these two trade routes here, I will be happy because I want to try and keep it to a very small amount of trade routes. We're trading with Serbia Kadim to sell, to import copper, and we're selling out all the grain route we can, which is okay. I'm going to go and plan out more housing blocks, I think, and I'm going to start making a push to build this small pyramid. We don't have enough workers for that though. So I'm going to go and plan out another housing block with funds allowing. And I'll come back in a bit later once I've planned out this housing block, unless something happens. Well, look at that. Wages are falling across the kingdom. That means we have to basically drop this, which is very unfortunate. But it does mean that we're not going to be paying as much in wages. I mean, how much did we pay? We paid 2,000 last year in wages. It means we won't be paying as much, which is good. And just start planning out this area over here because we've got another housing block down. We want to make sure that they're all accessible to everything and we have enough supply for everything. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put down a small step pyramid right there. Now obviously they're all the... I mean, that's a terrible flood. I mean, the next one's going to be perfect, but at least fulfill some of that. And we can put down 1, 2, 3 of those, and they should get past houses fairly easily, which is not too bad. Village Palace will go there. Yeah, there. Now these will go and start working on this monument if they've got the ability to do so. Start clearing that base. It's actually very small, it only has 240 blocks of plainstone. And we can mine all of that up here. I'm not sure about where to put the... I mean, I can put it down here or up here. I'll probably do it up here. This is a lot more easier to create a natural little quarrying settlement, and it'll be near this upper one up here. Let's just put down a couple of statues, I think, just to make sure desirability is where it needs to be. There we go. Just do that, bit of beautification. So as you can see, they dig out they need to clear the pyramid site down to bedrock, so they clear it down and then they flatten it. Fairly interesting process, I can tell you. I'm just going to put down a couple more of these things. Roadblock there. Might as well. Farms anywhere I can put them, that'll be very useful. Now I'm also training up some infantry as well, which will help. Unfortunately, these papyrus makers aren't working as well as I'd like. There's not enough reeds getting down here. They're collecting them faster than they can be transported, which doesn't help. So if needed, I'll just stop selling papyrus for a while. I mean, we're making plenty of money. We don't really need to sell papyrus any further, so... And that's a hippo rampaging throughout the bloody city, which doesn't help. And there's really not much I can do about this except hope they get out of the bloody way. Yeah, get back to your godforsaken home. And if I do this, then it'll force them to go around that way, which means at least they'll not do too much damage. I really hate those hippo storms like that. I mean, there is an event that caused it to happen, but it's still really annoying. So as you can see, they're clearing it down to bedrock, and 4 months to send 800 reeds. Well, I don't even have any in stockpile, so let's stockpile. So they're now cutting grooves into the bedrock to hold the water, but they'll always complain about needing more work camps, but there's plenty on this map, so it's fine. So we just stockpile the reeds, that'll go out very quickly. Yeah, I mean, that's has got, what, 800 reeds already, that's pretty quick. Then they fill it in with water. I'll just go through this process very quickly with you. So now they mark the water level, then drain the water, like so. Now they cut it down the bedrock to the water level marks. Interesting point, it says here, no one will ever see this work, but it ensures that the monument will endure forever, according to the game. 11% unemployment's not too good, so I need to start... I'm going to evolve this block, and then I'm going to set up a large plainstone installation over here. And yeah, a ship aground. I must have decided to go through the fucking floodplain, which doesn't help at all. So yeah, we're getting everything going. We're holding stable for cash, which is good. Now the water level grooves are being filled with rubble. So yeah, that's pretty much the basic stage. So I'm going to go and evolve this housing block, and I'll come back in once we're ready to start delivering plainstone to this small stepped pyramid. Okay, so we're starting to grow the city quite quickly here. I've got this block right up to the spacious homestead here, and this block's going to get access to beer. We're starting to import our first beer from Necken. And also buying our papyrus. I did have to start selling it again because we were running really low on cash. Elsewhere, I've also expanded our our farming capacity, just to put down as many farms as I can, trying to keep the city stable. We don't have stonemasons, but over here you can see I've got pretty much a large plainstone industry. Unfortunately, we don't have Ptah to help. Otherwise, we could have just put his temple complex and things would be fine. And look at that, we've got enemies closing on the city. Over here, I've got a nice military force. The invasions are not that big on this one, so it's not such a big problem, in my opinion anyway. Now, I'm thinking about putting the roads going like this, because if you look here, I've actually managed to fill out this here, and I can't really get into this bit of floodplain, and a Libyan army is going to be here in 1 year. Not very helpful, but we're going to just disconnect that there, have them go this way, and that allows me to at least get into some of these farmable locations, like here. Let's just see if we can put in a few. There's a road in like that. See, I mean, I could put another farm there, but it will block everything in. Anyway, it doesn't matter, farm is harvested. So we're starting to get some spacious apartments here. Now, I'm thinking about getting papyrus over here. We can actually start taxing our people. What's our unemployment? 100% G's. Let's just put this down and get some taxation going, I think. Let's put this up to 5%. Let's be, yeah, 5% since we're paying much lower wage rates than normal. So that should help to offset our exports out when we're not selling as much as we should be. Let's put this up to 1200 beer.
We're waiting for some cargo to be delivered to
And just make sure we have a nice stockpile. Plenty of planes stored. I think we can get started on this morning. I'm not going to time-lapse this one because it's such a small one, but I will time-lapse the bigger one because I think that's much more interesting than the smaller one. So let's put down, I need one carpenter's guild somewhere. Let's just put the carpenter's guild there. Let's put an extra woodcutter there. And we could put down stonemason, 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 stonemason. And that should be, what, 5 stonemasons? Yeah, 5 stonemasons is more than enough, to be honest. And I think we've got plenty of clay pits in this city. I might just add 2 extra. Now let's put down a conservatory there just to make sure there's enough conservatory access. And yeah, so it's just a case of building this morning. So I'll come back in once this is nicely built because I want to do the other one later. At least once I've got the city stable. So what I'll do is I'll come back in once that invasion is about to happen. Well, that's kind of sneaky. We've got to send 700 pottery in 2 months. Almost no time to prepare for that, but luckily we already started that industry pretty early on, so we can't dispatch off that 700 pottery, but that's a pretty sneaky request. Now, you can see here that I pretty much tapped out the entirety of this farmland. I've got everything down. Put down a couple of extra work camps here just to... Actually, that won't work because that's not connected. These farms won't actually access anything because they don't have access to anything at all. Well, I'm just going to have to connect it and hope that the docks... I mean, there's only one water trade. It really doesn't matter if they're going cross-country, to be honest. I mean, if I have to, I just put down a yard somewhere and just have it that the beer goes here and here, and I just set us to getting. And we get back some, that'll do. This could be set to accept 3/4 beer and 1/4 reeds, just in the case that that's asked for. Actually, no. Let's do half and half, like that. So you can import beer here and here if you want to. And this will get from wherever, it doesn't matter. So that's the first layer of this monument done, 208 blocks left. Plenty up here, I think that's more than enough for that small pyramid. So, where are the invasions going to come from? It's weird because the invasions are going to come from Libya, which is here, but they're apparently attacking from this side of the map. I don't think that was planned, but never mind. We have got plenty of farms. What's our capacity? We've got 45 farms in the city. In fact, I could probably cut some of these off and not have this many, but I think it's good to be prepared just in case we have bad floods. So, what's our unemployment like? 3%. Let's boost it a bit more with some beer production in this area. So let's set this up for 2,000. And yes, I'll come back in once the invasion's here. Okay, so the Libyan army is going to be here in 1 month, bent on conquest, and I think we've got more than enough troops. So we're just going to... I can't remember which point it is, but we'll put them there. And have that there. It's a good thing I started training up the military. It did take a while just to get that, but... I mean, when was that invasion called? 7 years after starting, so you got plenty of time for the military, but you would want to start it fairly early-ish. I believe the invasion's from about here, somewhere. We can just speed up. Yeah, just there, so that's fine. We've got exactly 11,000, I like that. There we go, invasion defeated, with no losses, I think. Yeah, with no losses, we had nothing lost in that one, so the invasions are not too difficult on this one, so... Yeah, we've got too much food in the city now. I might delete some of these farms later, but all in all, a very simple invasion. What's our unemployment like now? 5%, not too bad. I think I'm going to start bringing papyrus down here. And I'm not sure where to put it though. I mean, I'll probably put it here. Let's get 1/4 papyrus there. And this is just going to have to go somewhere. I'm not too sure where it's going to go. Well, I need this many clay pits, so I can just probably pump that off and have a conservatory right there. That'll do. Okay, so it's just a case of I'm going to come back in once this small mud brick, small stepped pyramid, sorry, is complete. Well, would you look at that? We've got 5,000 people in our city, and I'm struggling a bit for employment. I did put down this temple complex to Bast, which is a pretty useful one. Let's just have a look at how useful information. So building a temple complex to Bast brings good fortune to any city. Bast helps keep citizens happy by making them satisfied with less. As a result of her benevolence, the rate at which your citizens consume food and goods is reduced, and the effects of entertainers, educators, and health providers last longer. Through the priestesses of Bast, Isis lays her healing hands in the... Well, so basically if you've got infected people rolling, it's fine, but we don't here. City settlement is better. Okay, so not very much she does. I prefer Cyrus's temple complex, to be honest. It's a lot more meaningful in most missions. Now, we've expanded our work camps and stonemasons here quite considerably for our stepped pyramid complex, which we are going to be needing to build soon. And we've got 14% unemployment, which doesn't help in the slightest. Can we just put down another plain stone storage yard here? Yes, we can. We'll just build all of these. And I'm going to just do 1, 2, and then we're going to have a bit of a road going around this way. Like so. Now we're just going to block here, and we're going to put down a couple of houses at the top there. That can go there. Now hopefully you're able to get all the way up here. Yes you can, okay fine. And then we're just going to dump down more plainstone quarries all the way along this section. Just get as many going as we can. We just want tons and tons of plainstone. Just like that. I don't really need the road going that far. Let's just do that. And that. There we go. So we've got more plainstones. And I also got a request for pottery to Nenether, which I sent off. Which is good. There we go. We've got plenty of plainstone in stockpile. Let's just have a look at our stepped pyramid. Our own one. 24 blocks of plainstone left. Should complete fairly quickly. Whenever they go and get the plainstone rather. Which could take a while. And we've got... I mean, how much plainstone do we have in stockpile here? 384, that's shit tons. And what's our 12% even with this? What the heck? That's just not good at all. I was just going to put a roadblock there. So they have a quick route to get through, but they have to go around a zigzag basically. And you've gone down this way, which doesn't help. Anyway, our pyramid will soon complete. I will come back in once we have completed our own stepped pyramid. And here comes the last two loads of plain stone for our small pyramid here. Our stepped pyramid, just speed this up a little bit. The masons will put the final work on it. And there we go. The stepped pyramid is complete. This monument will forever stand as a testament to our ability. Yes, it will. Given that we built it for ourselves. Let's just fix that road. And now, the challenge is that we now have to keep the city stable while we build the largest pyramid. So, let's just place it down. I'll go and place it down, and I'll just let you watch it build, because why not? Okay, so we're coming to the end of the construction of this monument. That time lapse was very, very long and I had a couple of interruptions every so often, but I tried to make it as good as I can. But we've got only 16 blocks of plainstone, but if you look at the chart here, we're sure like 300 workers. It's ridiculous. Let's start cutting back on some of these industries. Let's cut back on, we don't need this many people really, just destroy some of it. I mean, we only need the workers at this point. I mean, what's our 190? We still haven't even done anything about that. I mean, it's getting a bit insane. Pottery is evaporating for no apparent reason. Let's just put this up to 2,000. We've got like what? Shit tons of cash. It's ridiculous. I've had to also start deleting parts of this. I mean, we don't really need this much plain, so we don't really need any of this. We just delete it all. We don't need it because it's just contributing nothing to our city. And that sort of solved it. I did end up evolving pretty much all the housing. I even stuck some houses, like one there, just to try and solve it, but didn't really do anything, obviously, in the grand scheme of things. But let's just take one more save. And there are no burial provisions, so that's a good thing. I don't have to worry about that. Let's just speed this up, get the remainder of this plainstone. And I also had to connect these A's because a random granary, a random grain delivery dude, just spawned up here for no reason. I can attribute that to Cleopatra as well. So just one more load of plainstone and we'll be done with this mission. Thank God, it's been a long mission. We had random invasions along the way, but yeah. So let's just take a pause right here. So we've got this, pretty much the bulk of the city here. Our industry pretty much sprawled across this section here, and all of our farms producing everything we need. Plenty of military. And our proprietary industry was just pretty much good. So, of course, we also had up here our plainstone industry, which doesn't exist because we've evaporated all the stone. And a nice pyramid right in the centre there with the temple complex next to it. All looking pretty nice. So let's just speed this up. And win the mission. The step pyramid is complete. This monument will forever stand as a testament to your abilities. Thank God we don't have to build that monument again. So that is us done with Meidum, and we will win the mission as soon as it ticks over, just before an invasion's about to happen. What are the chances of that? I think we did pretty well. We finished with like 271,000 demons, but there we go. Victory! We built the stepped pyramid complex. Let us proceed.
Excellent. The royal necropolis you have endeavored to build is truly splendid. You and your family's years of dedicated service have been richly rewarded with a sacred tomb of your own.
Well, it's good that we built that tomb. It's going to be a good reminder of what we did back in the day. So that was Meidum. We got 100 kingdom rating. That's easy enough. There was tons of requests in that mission. Plenty of money, plenty of population, more just about double the population we required, but that was fine. And a good prosperity rating completed 450 months. That's a long time. But we did it on hard mode. Anyway, that was Meidum. Thanks for watching. If you want to head to South Dashur, because the next mission is also a choice. If you want to head to South Dashur, click on that left-hand card. And if you want to head to Buheng, click on the right-hand card. But for me, that is going to be that. Thanks for joining, and I'll see you in the next video, guys. Bye now.